A very good evening, everyone present here. I am Dr. Sakshi, a PGDM student of first year, and I'll be your co moderator for today's session. On behalf of IIHMR Bangalore, it's my greatest pleasure to welcome you all for today's webinar, Masterstroke Tea Time with our Alumni. Before starting, I would like to request Poonam ma'am to showcase IIHMR Bangalore campus. Thank you, ma'am. Moving ahead with today's session is designed to be an engaging and insightful conversation where experience meets aspiration. Over this virtual tea time, we will connect with our accomplished alumni who will share their professional journey, lessons learned, and the master strokes that shaped their careers. This platform is not just about listening, but about learning, reflecting, and interacting. It's an opportunity for us to gain real world perspectives beyond textbooks and classrooms. As we move forward, it's time to hear from someone who once sat where we are today and had since carved an inspiring path in the professional world. It's my pleasure to introduce Deepashri ma'am, an esteemed alumni of IIHMR Bangalore from the batch of 2011-13, who is the moderator for today's session. With her strong academic foundation and professional experience, she continues to inspire students and young professionals through her leadership and guidance. We are very happy to have you, ma'am. I also warmly welcome today's guests, Dr. Madhu Shah and Dr. Kalyani, as the speakers for today's webinar. Introducing Dr. Madhu Shah. Dr. Madhu Shah is project manager at CTS Tech, an alumni of batch 2018-2020. Dr. Madhu Shah is a healthcare management professional with a background in dentistry and holds 6 years of professional experience. She has worked as a business analyst and consultant at Deloitte. Currently, she is working as a project manager at CTS Tech with 6+ years in healthcare IT, specializing in Epic EMR, HL7 integrations, and revenue cycle management for US hospital networks. She has led end to end implementations, migrations, UAT, and Azure Go Lives, ensuring HIPAA compliant interoperability across Epic, Cerner, and Meditech. We are very happy to have you, ma'am. We also welcome Dr. Kalyani Kusurkar, ma'am. Dr. Kalyani, ma'am, is a project manager at Apollo Hospitals and alumni of batch 2021 and 2023. She is a healthcare management professional with a background in dentistry and holds 5+ years of professional experience. She has worked as a lead client engagement and implementation at Data Interops, senior integration analyst at Athena Health with 5+ years in healthcare IT, experience in healthcare IT with specialized expertise in HL7 integrations and Mirth Connect, delivering end-to-end data integration across HIS, EHR, LIMS, RIS, pharmacy, and CRM systems. She's proficient in HL7 version 2, foundational FHIR, REST APIs, SQL, and JavaScript, led interface design development, testing, go live, and post production support. We are happy to have you, ma'am, today. I welcome you all and over to Deepashri, ma'am.
Thank you, Sakshi, and welcome to all the participants who have joined for this masterclass. We usually have this masterclass where we give the information. In fact, our alumni give the information about the path they have taken and the leading in the healthcare system. So I'm very proud of Dr. Kalyani and Dr. Madhu Shah and welcome them to the masterstroke. Both of you, surprisingly, both of you are BDS, which is a common factor for both of you. I would like to ask Kalyani. Kalyani, how was it from shifting from BDS to a clinical to a actually non-clinical sector, like a managerial sector? And what is the motivation?
Okay, first of all, thank you, IHMR, for giving this opportunity. Like we discussed before the participants joined, I was on the other side of the table where I used to conduct the master stroke, and it feels really honored. It's really my honor to talk to you all. So to address your question, ma'am, how the transition was from clinical to the IT side or the management side. Of course, it's not easy. You come from a very structured organization wherein your roles and responsibilities are quite, narrowed down, and your skill set is defined when you're studying your dentistry role. But when you go to management, it is not just about your clinical knowledge or your defined knowledge. It is about coordination, it is about decision making, it is about applying your clinical knowledge into something that is a more different and more difficult question, which is patient care. And one small decision mistake can land a patient into a debt or a series of events that can happen in a hospital environment. So this is a very critical role, and it is very important that you go through a harmonized way of learning this management and only then going into the system. So I'm very grateful to IHMR for curating a course that is very important and vital for graduates like us, clinical graduates who do not have any understanding of how management systems work. So yeah, it was difficult, but it's a great and wise choice I made. I always feel.
Okay. Madhu Shah, what is the biggest, the mindset change you made while moving from a healthcare practice to a project management, right? Because I know that you have taken so many projects. Now you tell me how your mindset have changed from a practice to project.
It's true. Actually, when we are in a clinical practice or when we are doing in a clinician, like as a clinician, the focus is mostly on the outcome, the end result, like treating the patient. But when we look at project perspective or when we look at managerial side, it is a whole, like there is a lot more into it. It's not just the patient and the doctor. It's not just about the treating a disease. It's more of the cause, which is etiology of the disease, like how can we prevent it in the future. And also there are a lot of systems, the processes. We also need to consider the organizational goals, the people who are involved in it, the timelines, the budgeting, the risks which are linked to it. So it's a completely, like as a dental practitioner, I have never looked at how the workflow is behind the scenes. Now it's not just a treatment. I have to look like all of the things. I should consider, I should satisfy the provider who is giving the end support, and also ensure that our timelines are met, our standards, like we meet the standards, and technology is available for the providers to deliver the care. So it's a complete shift from hands-on to uh, managerial side.
I think from the hands-on to strategy, like
Strategy, yeah, strategic management, true.
right. So you were thinking how patients are coming to your clinic or whatever setup. Now you're thinking how to bring the patient to your setup. That I
Back,
think,
true.
that's the mindset change usually as a clinician we have when we are moving towards the healthcare practice. Both of you have done PGDM in hospital and healthcare management, has a degree from IHMR Bangalore. I just wanted to know how this course, particularly because why do you choose IHMR, or first of all, why did you choose PGDM in hospital and health management, and why IHMR? I think both of you can answer on this, please. I think Kalyani, you can go first.
So first questions first. Why did I choose a IIHMR Bangalore? Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I think I.
Why did you choose the course as PGDM, not as an MBA or MHA? Why did you choose PGDM? First thing. Second thing is why IHMR Bangalore?
Okay, so I will answer the second question first. In the South campus, in the South side of India, IHMR Bangalore is the most renowned institution that is present. And my preference was South India, that I want, because I was in Chennai. I'm currently in Chennai. So I was looking for something which is in Bangalore. And IHMR looked like a very great deal for me that time. And as for the MBA or MHA or PGDM, so I think this is out in the industry now, that there is no difference as such. You can do a PGDM, you can do an MHA or a MBA, but PGDM, this particular course, healthcare IT, was not present anywhere in India for that matter when I was doing it. So I thought that it was very lucrative that in a city like Bangalore, you're getting a healthcare IT course. So it's very obvious that you'll get an employment later. So I thought that this is the best thing to do.
Okay. Over to you, Madhusha.
Yeah, back then actually there are very few colleges which offered this course, particularly for people who has clinical practice. We could go for MHED, like we could go for MBA, but that again involves maths and other subjects as well. But to be aligned with the clinical side, or to ultimately be with the patient care, I felt MHA or HIT for that matter will align with our experience as well, with our education as well. So that is the reason I have chosen PGDM. And why IHMR? Like as Kalyani said, there are very few colleges which are offered. There are few in Hyderabad, and next is in South India, particularly it's in Hyderabad and Bangalore. There were only two options which I had back then. And Bangalore being IT hub, there are many startups and there are many hospitals. I felt there would be good opportunities here than compared to other places.
So the opportunity and the unique course, I think these are the two points which I can take from both of your conversations, right? Not only this when you were studying, but during my time also, I studied like way back in 11-13 batch, where hospital management itself was a unique niche area where the course was offered during that time, because as is now very proud of 21 years completing in this area. where now we are getting mushrooming of hospital and health management, other institutions. But way back then, we were the uniquely, like, that's where the USP, we were the in the niche area. So probably that point I'd really take. And I wanted to tell the listeners also that PGDM is a course where flexibility and the current industry modules or the curriculum is included, where we revise the curriculum every year. So that brings the student an institutional ready, what we can say, or a job ready professional. That's why many of our students choose PGDM over MHA.
True. Also, we have a lot of alumni. Wherever we go, there are already people
Yeah,
from our college.
yeah.
Everywhere. Like when I first joined Deloitte, it was all IHMRians, either from Bangalore campus or Jaipur. I felt like it is a little IHMR over there.
To be very frank, even in the Tech Mahindra, they have an
True.
IHMR group where only IHMR, internally also they have a Tech Mahindra IHMRian group. Even Cloud9 has that. So I think that's the one point we have alumni all over pan India and even in global, if I wanted to say. So going back to your memories with IHMR Bangalore, which is the subjects or the skills which you aced during your studies in IHMR Bangalore. Madhusha?
Oh. There not just it's not just about the subject that we have learned. There are a lot of subjects which actually helped me in the current role also, like in one or the other way. To name few, the POM, project management and strategic management courses which I had, I still apply those in my role. Like those were very helpful for me. The modules that we attended back then. Apart from that, what played major role were soft skills, because I'm not usually outspoken, but my current role requires me to be on meetings. To be frank, 70% of my day is in the meeting, coordinating with people. It's again mostly with the US clients in the US shift zone. So I should be able to bring in the right points onto the table to be able to speak. So all this I was able to inculcate with all the classroom activities which we had back then. To name few, like we had lot of simulating activities, team building activities, lot of presentations also. I still remember my first presentation. It was, I blanked out, to be frank. Though I prepared, I blanked out while presenting, and I couldn't talk. I was just blank for a minute. But by end of first year, I was able to present in our national conference, which IHMR, uh, which we have national conference every year, right? So I was able to present confidently by the end of first year, and here I am down the line 5 years.
Yeah,
So
I think today also we met students which they say that I learned speaking after coming to IHMR Bangalore, because now we are able to coordinate with many different stakeholders. I think as a communication teacher, this bring me pride also in other words. Okay, moving to Kalyani, what was your thoughts on the subjects and the skills which you aced at IHMR Bangalore?
Yeah, I completely resonate with what Madhusha said. I am usually a very outspoken person, but this is the place where I could, understand what to speak, what not to speak when it comes to a healthcare management. That is one. Secondly, I have around 7+ years. I had around 7+ years of experience in dentistry before I came to IHMR Bangalore. And honestly, I did not know how to run an Excel file or how to open a cell on the Excel file. I knew like people would help me, but I didn't know. So these are the basic skill set that I could learn in IHMR Bangalore. Very patient teachers who gave a nice it's not. So that time it was COVID time, so we would get recordings and I go through the recording again and again to understand how things are to be done. So yeah, so subjects like marketing strategy, how to make good PPTs, what all to put, what all not to put, all these things that we learned there, these are still there with me. And now that I'm currently, I code and I write the scripts on SQL and JavaScript. And I remember the days when I could not even open an Excel file. So yeah, this is what, it's an opportunity that is given. You just have to grab it.
I feel
Um,
it instilled confidence, actually. It instilled confidence in me. IHMR has been instrumental in boosting my confidence.
Okay. Um, Now, I think listeners also wanted to know what would be a day like look like for a product manager or a project manager, right? What typical works you do at your workplace has over the positions you are taking, and what are the competencies required for that? Skill competencies required for that. Madhusha, over to you.
Yeah. My day starts with reviewing the ongoing projects, flagging the risks which are there, like upcoming go lives, flagging the risk, coordinating with the other stakeholders who are involved, ensuring that deliverables are met, ensuring that we are meeting the timelines. If not, why? If there are any tickets or incidents, aging incidents or tickets, need to understand why and need to report those. And as I said, 70% of day is into meetings, coordinating with the people, getting the things done, and 30% is into analysis and growth analysis and what else can be done, how efficiently a particular task can be done. So 30% of my time would go into analyzing that, and 70% would be into uh,
Other
typical
managers.
project management. Yeah, managing the project. 70% is into managing the project. The skill sets required are it's mostly people management and team management. I feel that those are two important other than the technical skill sets. The technical skill sets include like HL7, that is the area that I'm working on, interoperability, and RCMIT workflows, which are required for us to learn like end-to-end workflows to be able to modify the processes, and Excel, that is the tool that we regularly use, that is needed, and Jira, ServiceNow. These are the tools that I get to work on regular basis. It's good to learn that before, have little experience or learn about those before sitting for placements.
Okay. Madhusha, can you do a help? Can you put just these all topics or this all what to be learned in the chat so that my
Sure.
our listeners will also get to know what it is, right? Coming to Kalyani now. Kalyani, I saw your profile. You have many EHR, HMIS, LIS, and all the short forms. And being a what to say clinical person, I think I'm also interested. You also said that you are also a developer. You are doing in SQL and other things. So,
Yes.
is it a required skill to get a job in IT now? Like being a have we should we learn the developing skills, or as a developer, or can we learn it while we are working?
So if you learn, so I will begin from my own experience, how I started. So when I was in IHMR, I was given an opportunity to go into a HL7 internship where the mentor that I had, Mr. Arun Kumar sir, he taught us how to code and how to use HL7, Mirth Connect, FHIR, all the basics of those skill set he taught us there. So why it is important, even though all the prospected students here, they're looking for a job role, which is a project management or specific to be business analyst, or these are the kind of roles that we all aim to go to, right? But when you go to those roles, if you don't understand these terminologies, if you don't understand SQL or a basic Java scripting, then it is very much possible that the developer will try to own that job over you. So you don't have the authority over anyone. And as a manager, you should have the authority. That's all it is. If you want to coordinate a team, you have to sit on the top of them. So that's where I feel that my developer skills are very important. That you have to understand at least the basic of all the mentioned skills. I think Madhusha has already written all those, but you can go through normal YouTube videos or basic classes where these things are taught, and you have to have understanding of this, is what I compulsorily feel.
I
Okay.
align with what Kalyani has said. I still remember my training period when I initially joined Deloitte. There was 2 months of training where we were taught Jira, test cycles, need to write test cases. I was like, why am I even doing this? Why did I end up here? It was like during the interview, they said it was epic implementation, epic optimization. There are no coding skills required there. But as Kalyani said, as you grow in your path, that's when you will be able to understand what is the time that is required to develop a particular code. If you don't know what is going into doing it, it will become difficult to estimate and mitigate risks. So that is one reason why it is
And I
essential
think
to have.
SQL is like Excel these days.
True.
If you don't understand SQL,
It's very basic.
you're illiterate in IT. You should not come to a job if you don't understand SQL. Is I will bluntly put, because that's a mandatory skill for anyone who wants to enter healthcare IT.
Okay, I think Arvind has put an interesting question. How has the opportunities in healthcare IT has changed from time you graduated till now? Is the demand still the same or changed? I think AI ke baad kya, like what happened after AI implementation? I think that's the main question I think every one of us will be having. So Anirudh has put a right question. Anyone can take it up and let me know your thoughts on that.
I can take it up. So
Yeah.
back then in 2020, it was digitization mostly. Digitization was the term that was used. Now it's mostly automation.
Yeah.
If you see, there was a growth, rapid growth within past 5 years. Recently, I've studied this Ernst and Young report, and they said it's within by 2030, the adoption will be more, and there will be 40% increase in the productivity by using AI tools. Is it my voice? Ma'am, your voice is low. Can you check your mic? Is it mine? Sorry, I got
Yeah,
distracted.
Madhusha, I think your voice is a little less. Can you come closer or yeah? Can you
Is
speak
it
now?
better now?
Yes.
Yeah, it moved from digitization to automation. Most of the doctors want to get things automated. And before this also, we were having conversation. Me and Kalyani was having conversation regarding automation and how they have adapted. And in fact, they presented it in AI Summit as well. I think she can add more points over there. Yes, it has increased. It's been increasing, and there is a large demand for people like us who have healthcare experience, so that we can utilize it in improving the patient care.
Good. Kalyani, I think over to you if you have any points on this.
Yes. So see, automation will take jobs. That is for sure that it will. But there is one saying from one of our ex IHMR professors, and she told us that soft skills will never be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
And I think that stayed with me, and I think that is very true. That even though there will be a lot of automation, but the soft skills will always remain. There will be a person who will drive those automations, but you have to be that person who can be able to do that. So that being said, from Indian healthcare background, Indian healthcare IT perspective, I'm seeing that currently we need automation. It's not that it is going to take your jobs. We have a lack of personal, or we have a lack of healthcare force in India. So be sure that your job will be there at least by 2040. You're all safe, because I am seeing the healthcare industry from a very ground truth right now. I'm working for Apollo Hospitals IT section, and I know how things are being worked here, and we really want automation to be present so that our CRs will move, our the cycles will keep on moving. So that is there. But develop the normal skill set, and normal GPT skills, perhaps prompt engineering, or how to use a GPT-4 GPT-5 model. Again, like I said, a SQL is a basic skill set that you should have. Probably in next 2 to 3 years, we will say that these are the skill set that we will have, and we will all have to update ourselves to that. But I don't think it will take our jobs, at least for
Yes,
now.
I think HI, that is human intelligence, is always over AI. So,
Yes.
Anirudh, what I would suggest is like the demand has not changed, but the nature of demand has changed, right? Probably initially they were looking at the coders. Now they were not looking at the coders, probably more of an implementers, more of people who know how to implement the things. I think that's where the nature of job has changed. To adding to, I think, Kalyani, what I would suggest is upgrade yourself. Upgradation is always important in any job. So, if you don't take up IT also, your knowledge has to be updated every here and now, because healthcare is dynamic. We are moving towards universal healthcare and it's dynamic. So, upgrading skill is very important, and nature has no job has changed. But yes, basic requirement, as Kalyani has rightly identified, SQL, basic Excel. If you are having advanced Excel also, I think you can ace in the market, right, Kalyani? Adding to you both points, Kalyani, we would like to know about, because you said AI Summit. Now I wanted to know your experience. How did you Apollo present in AI Summit? I think listeners also would like to know on that.
Yeah, sure. So Apollo recently, not recently, it's been there for some long time. So our in-house MedMantra application, which is our HIS application, we have incorporated a layer of Microsoft Copilot on it. So what is Microsoft Copilot? When you go to a browser like ChatGPT, you can ask, what is this? What is that? You can ask these general questions to a Copilot generally, but a doctor cannot ask patient specific data to a chat GPT. That's a patient data violation. So if you have something like that, a natural language processor on your EMR, which is reading your internal data, giving you a ground truth summary, or giving you an inference of, a disease, or it is letting you have a clinical decision support wherein it is telling the, practitioner to ask what to ask next to the question, patient, to tell about the last episodes of the patient. If you have that kind of AI on your EMR, which is very much compliant to the policy, that is a next level, things that we are talking about. So this is already incorporated with Apollo's Microsoft Copilot, and we did a beta launch in September last year. I think July to September we did a beta launch wherein we identified the doctors who are using the OP EMR quite well. The adoption rate was more than 80% that they're using their EMRs. So we gave Copilot for them to use. We got their feedbacks, and from that feedback we have now moved on to the phase 2, wherein we are writing the discharge summaries. We are giving the analysis of the previous episodes of lab data, and these are the artificial intelligence based on your current profile or the current data of EMR, which is being built right now. So I don't think there is any EMR at present in the world where AI is incorporated on an EMR. And Apollo being the largest, I think, healthcare hospital in India, at least, with a huge data set, this will be a game changer for everyone in the industry. So this is what was presented in the summit as well, that what they have done and how it is done.
I have a question, ma'am, if may I ask?
Sure.
So, what was the major feedback that you got during this implementation? Because usually, whenever there is some change, there will be strong resistance from the providers to follow it.
See, providers, we are providers, right? You have been there in the clinical.
Doctors would be difficult, like, usually change resistant. So, what was the major
There
feedback
is
that was
still
given? The
very much
reason,
resistance. There is still very much resistance. So, like I said, the older physicians, the very famous neurosurgeons, and very famous doctors in Apollo ecosystem, they are very welcoming. They want us to have the technology in place. Maybe in their experience, they have understood that when they told us the story as well, but that when we were young, that time EMR was being introduced, that don't write it on paper, write it on computer, and we hated it. Why? Writing is so easy, why are you asking us to type? But now, after the lot of years and after the experience, we understand that EMR is very helpful. Now that you're introducing AI and all, we want to utilize it. It's just the budding doctors or those who are still in the chain where they are dealing with lot of patient pressure and surgical pressure, they are not ready to use. So yeah, there Apollo, we have our own driving mechanisms wherein we are pushing the ground IT staff. They go and meet the doctors, they ask them to utilize Copilot, and it's increasing. The adoption rate is surprisingly and impressively increasing. So let's hope that it turns out to be a good, successful outcome.
I worked with Apollo for some time when I was with during my internship. I think Apollo was one of the first to implement telemedicine as well. Telemedicine with the very remote villages. So I was operating I used to enter all the details which doctor used to say because they were resistant to enter it. That is why he asked what is the hindrance that you got from the providers. Thank you for answering, Kalyani.
Yeah, but even on the telemedicine also, now I'll just as a added pointer from my side, there are certain companies that we are engaging with wherein the speech to text for the medical language.
Voice.
That also, the voice speech to text, that also Apollo is giving to all the clinicians across Apollo, like pan India. So yeah, there are certain drives that even Indian healthcare systems are coming up, and we should be welcoming. We should be ready to embrace the change and be ready with the skill set so that we can get into the system and have our own career paths.
Kalyani, I think in the last discussion, you said that about prompt engineering. I think that's the key nowadays, because I think giving a correct prompt is very important to get your answers right. So your thoughts on it, Kalyani?
Yeah, definitely. So sometimes even I can't prompt properly. So I chat GPT to tell me what prompt to use. Where did I go wrong? Tell me that
Oh,
after a series of conversation, chat
It
GPT will give me the correct answer. So I asked chat GPT, what should have been my prompt, to understand where I went wrong. So it's not just people think that what prompt engineering, what will they teach? How to write English? It's not that. It's not that simple. So GPT is made with algorithms, and you have to know the pain points, where to hit that note so that the GPT will answer you the way you want. So
okay.
yeah, and see, I've already, my nephews and my nieces who are still in college. I told them that there is 2,000 rupees for Chat GPT Plus, which is 5.2 version of Chat GPT. You can take it for a month and learn how the system is working, how the prompt, what kind of algorithm they have developed. It's beyond our imagination, and as an enthusiast you should learn what it is. It's just 2,000 rupees which you usually just give it to
Invest
away.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so use it and learn it.
Actually, we have a discussion, and very senior person told me this also. Like, if they are asking for some like additional money and will give you so many options to use, please take it, because when you take it, you will already move to a move ahead the line of thousands, right?
upgraded
So yes,
version.
upgraded version, upgrade yourself. At least you spend on yourself on reading or learning a skill. I think that's very important lesson for us.
The right
um
prompt will be able to create one whole project. You like if you give a right prompt. In fact, I wrote an Excel VBA code. With that, it gave me an entire Excel. What do we say? This usually we take a lot of time for creating summaries and all, right? With the data and all. It with that right prompt, it gave me the entire summary with the graphs, charts, and everything, which usually would have taken 4 to 5,
Four
not
to
even
five points.
one. Yeah, like
Yeah.
entire it was able to give it within a minute with the right prompt is all what it is needed to
Actually,
finish
I
the
like
work faster.
correct. I like Kalyani's prompt to ask ChatGPT what to give the prompt. I'll do that next time. I think that's a good idea,
I
right?
did
Yeah.
that too. I did that. It does actually. It give right prompts. Like it will
Yeah.
tell what else need to be done. The more we give, the more we modify, it gives a better version and a better result.
Correct, correct. But I would like also listeners to know that once it gives the answer, please check. Do not completely depend on ChatGPT, right? So you have to check whether it's in any AI tool, Notebook LM, or whatever you are using. Just check on the answers once, because sometimes it magnifies or sometimes it extrapolates and give you some other answers. So it's always good to go back and check it once again. Okay, moving back to our conversation on healthcare and health IT management. How do you, because it's already, I think both of you are 5 years plus 6 years of experience in the field. How do you see the evaluation of healthcare management in India?
In India, so I'll tell you one of my experiences. Okay, so when I was working for a company which was a service based SaaS company, which is Data and Drops, wherein I was a developer. That is a place where I learned developing and all. I was working with a lot of other countries as well. Like we were doing some projects for France, some Malafi projects for UAE and Arab countries, and India. We think that Indian management is not up to the mark, or very chaotic and all. This is what we have degraded ourselves, but it's not that. It's just that we have less workforce in our system, which is why the mess. In the other countries, for that matter, the system is very much standardized, like HL7. I've worked with US Healthcare as well. So their healthcare is much standardized because of the standards they use, lesser patients, more workforce, lot of benefits there. So how we are evolving is like, IHMR is giving 100 graduates every year, let's say. So the workforce is also improving. The quality of people that we used to work before, like just 3 or 4 years before, and now the business analysts that have just passed out and come out and they're working with us, the difference in their knowledge is very different. Like previously, I know that there were some dentists who wanted to get out of clinicals. They just came to, let's try my hand in this and see. So they don't understand the system very well, but here they learn some, in a proper way. They have the understanding of the field. They come with a passion to do something. So this is the difference that I can say that I found prominently.
Yeah.
I feel it's moving from clinical diagnosis into more of a predictive or analytic analysis, like what is the bed allocate, like how better the bed can be utilized. Before it was just allocating a bed to the patient. Now it's how efficiently it can be used,
Correct.
how the cost cutting can be done. It's also our roles were more of operational before. Now it's more into strategic and leadership roles. The work has also shifted accordingly.
Okay. Most of my young students and they are moving towards the consultancy firms. I think Sakshi is here only. I think she would like to know what kind of skills, if I has a fresher, because has like for me, a consultancy is like when you get experience and when you ace in one, when you become an expert in one subject and you do a consultancy on that. But many of the young people are taking up consultancy works. So what are the skills that they would require, and can you throw a light on that? Probably I'll start with Madhusha.
Yeah, sure. I think it starts with our internships, ma'am. Practical exposure is needed because we need to understand what ground reality is. Only then, if we know the problem, that is when we'll be able to give the solutions. So when we understand how hospitals are working in and out, what are the process flows, workflows, what all it is, what all it takes to run a hospital, through that is when like we do these internships and understand the workflows and everything. That is when we'll be able to apply what we have learned there. IT solutions. It's a multidisciplinary skills are needed, soft skills, technical skills, all that are definitely needed for any kind of role. Other than that, I feel it's on hands like ground experience, operational experience. Should see what is happening, how it is happening, and what kind of impact we are going to bring in. So it's I feel more of a practical exposure will help you survive in IT.
Okay. Kalyani, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll go with what Madhusha said, that practical understanding of things. But even like you said, I'm an old school person. I feel that once gain some experience, consulting jobs are there, they will be there, but gain some ground level experience. Don't just run behind a job, people go behind packages and companies. Instead of that, smaller company will give you larger experiences which you can apply anytime in consultation roles. But like Madhusha said, like, yeah, in internships, if the more you go into and you proactively learn, that will be helpful.
You can dirty your hands while doing internships, but not on the job. So
Correct. Very true.
that is why
Very
I got
true.
to do 4 internships during my 2 year tenure with IHMR. That is when I understood like what is actually needed for me to progress ahead, because there's always this confusion whether to go for HIT or hospitals.
Yeah.
Internships will give you that clarity. After understanding what it is in the hospitals, then you will be able to decide whether to go for hospitals or health IT. From the first year itself, people keep asking me what to choose after first year. Now keep it blank. After end of first year, when you do your internship, that is when you will understand what needs to be done, whether to get into public health. Public health also offers beautiful roles. Like I've seen people who are designing or like they are ready at like they are at governing positions, who are actually implementing policy frameworks. That is also a beautiful role to get into. Over to you, ma'am.
Okay. IHMR helpful for dental doctors. I think the next question we have received. Is IHMR helpful for dental doctors? Please, Madhusha, both of you are very.
70% of the, to be frank, when I joined IHMR, I thought, like while joining PGDM, I thought I would be the only dentist in the class. The first question was, who are dental graduates? I've seen 70% of the class are dentists. 70% of the class are dentists. Yes. Uh, Actually, the skill sets that we already have, the clinical skill sets which we bring in, will not be able to what to say, like we will not be able to get into IT or into hospitals with the knowledge that we already had in the past. What we additionally need is operations, system analysis, operations, human resources, organizational behavior, finance. All these are needed for us to run the hospitals, or either into health IT or into hospitals. So either for dentists or engineers or people with any background, IHMR offers or upskills the knowledge that we already have,
Yeah.
along with soft skills.
Yeah. I think the question is like the next question from the, I think, is future opportunities as a doctor after passing out from IHMR Bangalore. Um, I
So I'll
think,
take this question,
yes,
Dr.
please.
Kaustav. Future opportunities as a doctor. So when I joined IHMR, I was a dentist. I was a clinician practitioner, and I was not ready to leave that, the prefix before my name, very easily. So when I was going into IT, that pain was there that, no one will call me a doctor.
Doctor,
So
yeah.
that is why I was very much sticking to a hospital role, that I want to go into hospital. So my aim when I was starting my journey with IHMR was that I learn this in a, proper way, how to do the management, and aim for a strategic or a, leadership role into hospitals. So for that, if I have to climb the ladder, that's fine. But that is the, aim that I kept when I was going uh, through the course. So as a doctor, what your aim should be or could be is that as a doctor, your degree will always be there. People will know you as a doctor, even if you don't like it. If you like it, doesn't matter. You'll always be that. Just utilize it. In my in my journey, I had opportunities to go into IT, but then when I saw the opportunity to come back to Apollo and the hospital environment, I ran back because I knew that that doctor, surname will the doctor name will be something of use here, and it is there. It will always be there for you. So as a doctor, yes, now that I am a dentist, I have a doctor before my name. When I go and talk to the clinicians, that helps me because I understand what they're saying. I can talk to them in the language that they understand. And again, I have the authority to talk about things that they understand. That no, this has to be this way because clinically this is correct. So yeah, it's up to you how you leverage your skill set. But as a doctor, yes, there is future after IHMR Bangalore. Don't worry.
You
Yeah.
can get into either IT roles or hospital roles. In IT, you will start most probably as a data analyst or business analyst or associate analyst, whereas in hospitals, it is mostly of assistant op, assistant operative roles, I guess. But you
Yeah.
have future both in either IT or hospitals or into research, because into research you can be a research associate. You have three different people here. Deepashri ma'am is from research background, and I'm into IT. Kalyani has seen both hospitals and IT. So you can end up in any of the roles because all of us are doctors over here.
Yes, yes, Dr. Kaustav, you have n number of opportunities as a doctor. I think one more opportunity which I wanted to say is also the insurance sector. Insurance sector is like
Booming.
big time looking for doctors with a healthcare or hospital management degree for their. I think there are many opportunities for doctors in insurance also. So I think opportunities are n number. We have to grab which we like it, right?
Revenue
Okay.
optimization. There are a lot of revenue optimization projects which are
Yes.
handled by insurance, and also hospitals require those people. So definitely you'll get job for sure after this 2 years, because I have seen in my batch and upcoming batches as well.
Uh, Last question. I usually ask this last question in my master stroke series. What was your master stroke when you look back, uh, 6 years or around 10 years back? What was your master stroke which has led to the level you are at now?
Kalyani, do you want to answer first because you have good experience?
So my master stroke would be that passion that keeps you going, that passion that is always there, of like a little girl who wanted to be a doctor. When I became a doctor, that didn't give me a satisfaction of, it keeps coming. The master stroke keeps coming, I would say. But
Correct.
yeah, COVID was the point where it struck the right strings, and I think I chose the correct path. And even though I miss my clinical life and the perks of being a doctor, I love this life as well. And I can, I will try my best to, go to the lens that I hoped as a little girl when I was there. So yeah, master stroke is this
The
for me.
passion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, over to you, Madhusha.
For me, choosing to step beyond clinical practice, because I was choosing like to shifting into healthcare IT. Leaving dentistry was my major master stroke, because back then it was too risky to take it, particularly after securing a PG seat. I was about to join. That is when I thought it was going to take a lot of time. Let me try. I've seen people who have settled in this path. So I thought, okay, let me try and see. Back then it was too risky and challenging, because I don't know what's the future is going to be. I thought I might lose the practice that I have. I may not be able to come back and settle as a dentist. I have invested 5 years of my time into it. But uh, hindsight, actually, now if I say that was a good decision that I have taken, because I would not have had an opportunity to explore all that I have seen right now, like healthcare possibilities and all that which I'm seeing currently. So I feel that has been the major masterstroke in my life.
Yeah. If I see you, because I've seen you both in the college, and I feel very proud because as a doctor, you would make one patient at a time, right? But now, as an implementist in healthcare, I think
True.
many lives you are touching at a time. So I think that's what made me push to this healthcare, and I see the same passion in you both. Right. It was nice talking to you both, and it's already 1 hour up, and we are delayed by, I think, 2 or 3 minutes. It was nice talking to you, to know your career, you know your lots of things about yourself as well as healthcare management. Thank you so much, Dr. Madhusha and Dr. Kalyani. Over to the Sakshi for conclusion.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar today.
Thank you, Madhusha. Sakshi,
Thank
over.
you so much, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. It was a very insightful session and quite interesting topics that you touched upon. Like one of the things that you pointed about soft skills, it was a major transformation. That's one thing that I resonate a lot. It's been like just 8 months into college, and we, not just me, but the entire batch had seen that transformation. Also, the thing that Kalyani ma'am said, that you might be extrovert, but saying the right thing at the right place. So that's what we've been learning, and it's been a great experience so far. So, as we come to the end of today's session, I would like to sincerely thank all our participants for your active presence and engagement. We truly appreciate your patience and involvement throughout the webinar. A special note of gratitude to our esteemed moderator, Dr. Deepashri, and our distinguished speakers, Dr. Madhusha and Dr. Kalyani, for sharing their masterstrokes with us. We will be organizing many more informative and engaging sessions in the near future. To stay updated on our upcoming webinars, events, and academic initiatives, we encourage you to follow IIHMR Bangalore on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. And thank you once again for being part of today's session. We hope you found it insightful and valuable. Have a great evening ahead.
Thank you, Sakshi. Thank you for organizing this.
Happy
Thank you.
Friday to everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, ma'am.